Hello everyone. I want to get into some commentary. Fair use. I'm going to say what I have to say after these clips, and I'll be back.
Hiding in plain sight, nearly 3 years after the horrific double murder on Sheldon Avenue.
Tonight, for the first time, Target 8 investigator Susan Samples takes us inside the case, revealing the evidence, the timeline of that terrible day, and the terrified whispers of one of his victims in her final moments.
It's been 3 years since a killer gunned down 2 women inside their home here on Sheldon Southeast. That house is gone now, bulldozed after fire tore through it, a fire fueled by the heartbreak that came before.
9:02 a.m. the call came in.
911 emergency.
The first arriving companies found a heavy volume of fire in the front of the house. There was no one standing out front, yet there was cars in the driveway. So it was a bad sign right from the start. The first person they found was the grandmother, and then after that, the child. They tried to get out, but were unable to. It was caused by candles that were part of a vigil the night before. They were left burning. The house was the scene of a previous crime.
Wednesday, March 13, 2019, 10:29 and 25 seconds.
(911) emergency.
I need help.
Hello?
I need help.
Okay, where are you located? I'm sorry, ma'am, I can't hear you. Are you able to tell me where you're located?
No.
Are you at a...
553 Sheldon Avenue Southeast. Please hurry now.
Okay, I got Sheldon. What's the number?
553. Hurry, please hurry up.
553 Sheldon. Okay, can you tell me what's going on there?
Can you just hurry up, please? I'm gonna die. It's this me. You're trying to kill me. You already killed my thing. You need to hurry up, please.
Okay, ma'am, I'll start the police that way. Can you tell me what your name is?
Tiana.
The 911 call ended seconds later and the police response began. The Grand Rapids officers who arrived on scene that morning had no way of knowing their actions over the next few minutes would soon come under intense scrutiny.
Suspicious condition. We have a female whispering on the line that somebody's trying to assault her.
This call looked interesting.
That's why you wanted to join the fun?
Trying to kill her.
One of the officers wondered if the 911 caller had mental health issues.
Sounds like she could be 96 too, you know.
7 minutes and 41 seconds after the 911 call ended, 3 Grand Rapids police officers knocked on the door at 553 Sheldon Southeast. 4 times they knocked, tried the doorknob, but found it locked.
1878, can you try a call back?
1878, there was no answer.
Try the side doors. Seems like it's empty. You can see it. It looks like a little dining room or something in there. It's empty.
There's nothing in the back here.
It is painful to watch with hindsight's benefit. Likely painful, too, was the moment these officers, who'd left the scene hours before, heard a familiar address.
553 Sheldon Avenue Southeast. For female there not breathing, caller says a lot of blood.
2.5 hours after that first desperate plea.
Can you tell me what your name is?
A promise and a plea tonight from the family of 2 Grand Rapids women shot and killed in their home. It's been nearly 3 years since the double murder on Sheldon Avenue, yet their suspected killer remains on the run tonight.
But Target 8 investigator Susan Samples tells us that the victim's family has a message for the killer, the community, and the nation. Susan.
We continue tonight with our investigation into double murder suspect Darrell Damond Brown, who he is, where he might be. But first, from the victim's family, a plea to the public to be vigilant. Brown could be anywhere. To Brown himself, the family says, "You will pay for what you did." They could not have sat here 3 years ago. Too raw was their grief over losing 47-year-old Sherlita Beber-Bay, a sweet and gentle soul, and her 25-year-old niece, big-hearted and bubbly, Kiana Griffin. But on this day, this family fought through it, wanted to see the first airing of the 911 call Kiana made 2 hours before her brother found her and Sherlita shot dead.
911 emergency.
It is excruciating, but not talking about the loss, not speaking out, is not an option, says this family, because the man police say murdered Anya Griffin's daughter and sister is still out there walking free 3 years later.
Someone knows something, because he had to have help. It's not if he gets caught, but when he gets caught. He can't run forever.
He is 48-year-old Darrell Damond Brown, Sherlita Beber-Bay's live-in boyfriend. And while no one liked that he did not have a job, the family said they saw no sign he was violent.
And some people say he was a little strange, he was a little different, you know, but they said that about my sister too. She was quiet, you know, she wasn't a social person. So just because you're quiet and you're a little different than everyone else doesn't mean that you're a murderer.
What the family did not know, others had witnessed Darrell Brown's violent side, though he hid it well.
Totally unassuming, totally mild-mannered.
Reverend Robert Dean believes it was a couple years before the murders that he spotted Brown rummaging through his church's dumpster, found out he was homeless, and let him live for several months in Dean's New Life Church of God in Christ, until one of Brown's girlfriends, not Sherlita, paid the pastor a visit.
She felt he was very nice, very mannerable, but there was that certain little element she was afraid of.
That's when Brown barged into the pastor's office.
I said, well, I was just talking about you. And he come, well, I forbid her to talk to males. Oh, no, you're not. I said, now, you sit down. I said, it's my office.
Dean said the woman opened her mouth to speak and Brown lunged toward her, prompting Dean to jump up to restrain him and order him to leave the church and never come back.
For me, it was like almost like a Dr. Jekyll, Mr. Hyde.
Court records document Brown's explosive violence toward women. In 2005, another woman, the mother of one of Brown's children, told police he thought she had gotten smart with him, so he tied her up with cords, kicked her in the face, gagged her, urinated on her, and doused her with lighter fluid. She escaped and later wanted the charges dropped because she said she still loved him, knew he needed help, and did not think he would get it in prison. Brown ultimately pleaded guilty to misdemeanor domestic violence.
My sister, she loved him. She had never had a boyfriend before.
Griffin said while Sherlita loved Brown, he and Kiana, who also lived in the home, did not get along.
They weren't fans of each other, and I think she wasn't a fan because, like I said, he wasn't working, and he probably wasn't a fan because he was like, oh, she's exposing me for who I really am.
Now, the family wants justice for Kiana and Sherlita and hopes someone will spot Brown and report it to the U.S. Marshals or 911.
You know, every day in my purse, I carry Kiana's high school diploma. Because, that's like her last and greatest accomplishment. There'll be no grandkids, you know. And it's just not fair, you know, that he's free and he shouldn't be.
U.S. Marshals think Darrell Brown fled the state after the murders and may be getting help from relatives. He has family here in Grand Rapids, Wisconsin, Arizona, Ohio, Georgia, and Pennsylvania. If you know anything about where he is, you're asked to call U.S. Marshals, Silent Observer, or 911.
Okay, so if you watched those clips, you were just as horrified as I was. This 2019 double homicide occurred on March 13th, you know, unfortunately. Kiana Griffin and her aunt Sherlita Beber-Bay were killed by her derelict boyfriend. Now, if y'all haven't learned by now, I really hope y'all learn. Keep these Negroes out your house. Okay? This nigga was a bum, a homeless man off the streets. Okay? Churches house demons is too, okay? As you see. So, unfortunately, this is someone who should have been on a DV registry as well. That's why I do believe that we need one. Because you heard what he did to his baby mother. Oh my gosh, he should have been in jail for that. But the fucking dimwit said, oh, I don't think he's going to get the help he needs in prison, and I love him. Listen here, if somebody piss on me and douse me in gasoline, you could go to hell with gasoline drawers on. Are you fucking kidding me? And at the point, you know, I've been in DV, but you have to really want better for yourself. And you got to wake up at some point and say, you know what? This is not good, and this is something that's gonna break me one day. Like, seriously. I'm gonna pray for DV victims because I was one myself. And I don't understand. This burns me up. This male has been on a run for the past 3 years. How is that? How has he not been captured and is not frying under the damn jail right now? Like, I don't, this is really, really, this is beyond insane. And as you can see, yes, he does look like a average person. Like, you probably would just be like, hey, oh yeah, there's just some guy walking down the street. No, that is a demon. And speaking of demon, his middle name, they talking about, what's his name? Darrell Damon Brown. No, pronounce it like it needs to be pronounced. Demon. Because that's what the fuck he is. How ironic. If the fact that he was homeless, didn't have a job, picking through the trash, living on the streets, and you know, there is no DV registry, so she probably didn't know. If she didn't look him up, if none of those were red flags, well, that middle name should have been. This is just crazy. He goes by aliases such as J.J. Robinson, Michael Richardson, Marcus Wright. Let me tell you something. He's probably somewhere doing exactly what he did with her, laying up on some other unsuspecting woman. Some fucking one of you bitches that's out here going on shows, advertising for PPP loans and advertising for your black kangs, you know, he's probably at one of their house on their couches. I'm just really, really disgusted by this case. One of you mammy bitches is probably out here right now like, oh girl, he look good for his age. Oh, 47. Oh, it's okay, I'll build him up. It's all right, he don't got a job. I'ma help him out. It's okay, we could build together. You know what? I'm really, really disgusted. Like, this cannot be life for the average black woman. Y'all gotta want better than this shit. I mean, literally. And then what kills me and makes the story even more painful is because if you heard that 911 call, Kiana Griffin called. She asked for help. She was whispering because she was in trouble. And the police showed up and tried to 96 her. They were basically like saying maybe she had mental health issues. I don't know if they had any previous history. Excuse me. I start talking so quick and I get so upset. I don't know if they had any previous history going to this house before or not, but because it seemed like a write-off. And then 2 hours later, they had to show up, and it was a double homicide. You know what I'm saying? They could have saved her. Unfortunately, the aunt was already, she had already been murdered. But, you know, it's really tragic because she called, she asked for help, and all they did was knock. She said she was about to be killed, not assaulted. She said killed. Okay? Like, literally. They could have saved this beautiful young lady. Rest in peace to Kiana Griffin and her aunt, Shaletta Baber Bay. This is so terrible. Kiana obviously knew and saw, like, that the dude wasn't about anything. And now that her mom, it got to be on TV, upset, sad, and crying. And they still haven't found this man. The mom's sister, Charletta, that was her boyfriend. She brought him into her home, and he didn't have nothing. And look what he did. You cannot raise a fucking bum. It just can't be done. If this is not enough for you to see that, I don't want to hear, oh, this is just one case. This is just one case that I'm talking about. I don't even think I would have the energy to literally deal with every single case that we see every single day. It's awful. I mean, I'm gonna link the other video because I cut that one short because hearing her on the phone, you know, that scared and fear for her life, that was hard to listen to. And plus that video was long. It was like almost 10 minutes long. So if you want to watch it, I will, if you want to finish watching it, I'm gonna link that video for you in the description. And if you also, not saying that that anybody does know anything, but if you do, please call 1-877-WANTED-2. I'm gonna also put that information in the description bar. And yeah, this man is on the top 15 most wanted U.S. Marshals. But see, that's not enough. There needs to be a manhunt. This has been 3 years in the making. And if you noticed in the beginning of that other video, a grandmother and her grandson died in that house. And that happened after the murders of Kiana and Charletta. That land, that house is haunted. They since demolished it. But this is terrible. This is tragic. Please pray, and if you know anything, try to come forward. And I'll be back. Stay self-invested.